bigger CCS department. So for like, you know, maybe an eighth of the whole department, because we're broken up into little teams. And so we wanted it just to track our, we have incidents that we track, as well as, I'm going to use the term projects. There's sort of work efforts more that we're tracking than projects. So we took initially a bunch of different areas that we had access databases and jammed them into one form, and for all of our QM team. So we track everything that we do in QM on one type of form, so we can just more easily have it in one area instead of multiple areas. Our little team here doesn't work a ton with big projects, though sometimes we do, and it would be nice. I know we did purchase the project area, but we're not really utilizing it that much. I'm aware that Jaime's team does use it some, but we're still baby stepping into that at the moment. So just to give you,
they fully dived, Cherie. Just
I
so
have
that you are aware.
Okay, I was not aware that they did.
Yeah, that's why I'm sorry. I'm jumping in there really
it's okay.
quickly. So yeah, they did, and so I'm hoping that you have access to be able to view.
I do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So first here on the side that we're using is the cases section. And I'm just going to open one of the cases here as an example. We have the top area, which we use as sort of an intake summary. Right now, we're not using the Salesforce, any sort of web forms or anything that we know that can be put directly in here. We're just taking it from our old inbox and typing in information in here. So pretty much everything that we're doing is done via manual entry at this moment. I know there is more that can be done, but we haven't started with that yet. We track,
so
we sort of,
somebody sends you an email, somebody then hand writes this into the case.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
So somebody handwrites in this sort of top section here of the intake summary, and then it gets assigned out to the person on the team that's going to actually work the case itself. We are utilizing, I'm going to jump down to the bottom, the case team members. So we do add internal and external members to it to notify them of when a case has been opened, if that's applicable, which we think is a really fantastic feature of notifying them that, hey, we've opened a case here, you need to know this information about it, as well as when the case closes, to share that information with other people, either in our department or, you know, completely externally, different companies as well that we work with.
Love it.
That's one of the areas. Sorry, hold on. That's one of the areas that we feel is not correct inside of Salesforce. Emails for Jaime stuff and our stuff sometimes get commingled, and that's a problem.
Right.
Define commingled.
So he'll put stuff in and it will email our people, or we put stuff in, or we'll get strange emails from people that they're working with that shouldn't have anything to do with this form that Cherie's showing you at this time. And so I think in the background, the emails are not set up correctly.
Right. Yeah, your workflows are probably not set up correctly, to be honest.
Right. Initially, I know he was just sort of piggybacking on some of the emails that were created for us for their area, because they do use cases as well as projects. And we had it set up that our generic team inbox was the email that everything came from. I think he may have separated that out and made two very similar but different emails. So we were getting just a lot of weird crossed lines because he was trying to sort of piggyback on things that existed instead of creating new things.
Perfect.
Right.
Okay.
And then there's people right now, they have some stuff feeding into Salesforce from an HTML form, and it's not actually sending emails out to those people when they submit the HTML forms. And so I don't know then if that's just not set up, or if it's, you know, just not set up correctly.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, Cherie, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. This next section here is our incident area. We use this a lot for reporting. This information all gets reported out. We do use the reporting features to be able to, you know, easily track this information and not have to keep it in a separate area like Excel or anything like that. So we use the reports as well as, my brain stopped working. the dashboards, you know, to present the information out. So a lot of this information are drop-down menus and things like that, so that we can report on it, which is awesome.
Are you so I see SLAs there, impacted SLA name, secondary SLA impacted. Do you use entitlements? If I say the word entitlements, does that make any sense?
It does not to me.
Okay. So inside Salesforce cases, there's a way to have a countdown timer effectively attached to what we call an entitlement. So we entitle a certain person to an SLA of, let's say, 30 minutes for the first and then an hour for the second milestone.
Okay.
And you can put these in here to give you guys some push to when it is, and then those are tracked regardless of who fills in the form. They're specific to the case and how the case moves through.
Right. This isn't quite that.
Yeah, we would use it in approvals, I think, for other forms that we're going to use.
Okay.
Those are SLAs that we have with the vendor.
Right.
So they're tied to, you know, sending mail out.
Accuracy, turnaround time, things like that. That we wouldn't create a case for until they actually had missed an SLA.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, but that is good to know, because we would want that on the approval side when we build out some of these other forms and workflows.
Lovely.
Right. So this is the incident area. Like I said, like Debbie was explaining, that it's for our outside vendors, the vendors that are doing some of our print or some of our intake scanning, where they've missed an SLA, whether it was around an accuracy or timeliness, things like that, so that we can track it just for our own monthly meetings and just, you know, vendor management type of stuff. Where I said before, we sort of jammed what we're calling a project. These aren't really projects, they're sort of work efforts into it. We just made this tiny little area. So this one of mine happens to be a quote unquote project. So the incident section is not filled in, but I do have, you know, some general boxes around what type of project it is, where it is in the planning. And then both sections, whether it's an incident or a project, uses this description notes section. We do like that we have the resolution and the description returning to the requester. When the case is opened, they get the description that we enter in here. And then when we close it, they also get the resolution, which we think is really great. So that sort of buttons it up and saves us steps of having to email the people who requested these cases be created.
So the people who are requesting the cases being created, they're not in Salesforce at all. They don't have any access to this.
That's true.
Yes.
So
for the most part.
You're using description. A lot of people do this, just so you know, if you roll down a little bit. A lot of people use something like a response history. You're not alone in that regard. But you also have open activities to be able to track tasks. Is there a reason you don't use that, which has a natural sort of dating timing function to it?
Depending on the case, we do use the activities. As you can see on here, I do have this. This is just sort of to keep my notes, my own internal notes that are not returned to the other person, just to keep it updated. So if my manager wants to see what's been going on in it, that it's not actually necessarily a task or an activity that I'm doing, but just a note about, I asked somebody this, you know, I mean, I guess I could make an activity to say waiting on feedback, but just little things as it's going along is just sort of we use this as our internal note section.
Okay, that's great. Can you keep going down a little bit?
Yep.
Just to the bottom.
And I think part of the problem with open activities would be that, you know, if we had people outside who were actually feeding this form and we were interacting with them, it would probably be more beneficial, right? But we're coming in a lot of times after we've done something already, so the activities really wouldn't be open. So that's why we kind of note stuff in there, because we're kind of doing it after the fact instead of along with, I guess is the right terminology.
Yeah. No, I totally get that. You know, typically within, and you guys are a small version of a customer call center service company, right? So typically within customer service, you would use something like activities or case comments to track what was going on, and those take individual notes with date and time, so that I know
Right.
when the individual operator's doing something if I'm a manager. With you guys, it's slightly different. So I just wanted to to see what your take was on having a more sort of official tracking of it versus a more note-taking version.
Right. The case comments, it sounds like, is something that would be more in line with that, what we're calling response history.
Yeah.
That we might want to explore.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And then I wanted you to have an understanding that if this was built out and we were getting stuff from the outside, then we would probably be using it the way it was intended.
Right. No, totally with you. Totally, absolutely with you. And going back to what you were saying, you don't do any email to case at this point, right? So no, if a person sends an email, it's not going straight into a case. Okay.
No, but we are aware that that is something that we can do, but no, we haven't started yet.
I think that would be amazing for you guys, just for the record.
It would be amazing.
I think that would be a game changer.
So we also wanted to talk about like ideas about a user interface, like where we could put a link out on our SharePoint page that they could fill out, or something along those lines as well. So both of those options would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, web to case would be good too. I think SharePoint would be a good place for it. You could even have, if you had an internal web page, an internally facing web page, or one that is hard to find, you could actually put that out there, and people can access it easily, or in a logged in environment. So there's a couple ways to put. I mean, web to case is really basic to put out there, which is nice for you guys. That's going to make things easy. Email to case is
what is it called?
So it's called web to case. Web to case.
Web to case. Okay.
Yeah. So what it does is in a web page creates a form that the person clicks on and then fills in that form. It creates all the details you need, and then it immediately creates a case and sends it to the right people. So what you can do is you can say, Debbie is going to take all of the high priority cases, other people in the team are going to take the mediums, or you can do it any which way, geography or whatever. And so you can sort of separate cases out. So, you're not pinging everybody to say there's a new case. You're saying, here's your cases, your caseload. You can do that with both email to case and web to case. So
and so those are things that we do not utilize at this time that would be extremely helpful and streamline some things that we do now, and probably make it a lot easier. So, and then that's why we're reaching out, because I'm aware that this is not completely developed.
Sure.
All right.
Sure. This is a lot of fun. I like this. You're in a good place in my mind. This is good. So just keep going down. Just go all the way to the bottom.
Yeah. So we do try and utilize the activity section, and we do sometimes. This one was assigned to me internally for my own, but we do assign them sometimes to other team members if they have like just a little piece of maybe my whole case, to assign that to them. So we do use that. This is showing the case history, and again, the case team members. This email thing is down here. I don't know what that's for.
Well, that's so that's going to be where I'm going to suggest you actually do your responses back and forth to people. So if you're going to send an email to this case, to the person the case is about,
the requester.
The requester, thank you. You would have an email template, and you'd have a few to choose from. And one can just be, cases closed, and then it would fill in all the details that you want within that says, here's your case closed, and you can send that. You can do that auto as well, but the emails would be a good place. Sorry.
We do have it where it autos when a case is opened or created. It does auto to the requester, telling them a case has been opened. Here is the description, and a few things like that. And we do have it where it automatically, when a case is closed, sends the email out to the requester as well with a formed template, and that sends back to them again the description and the resolution.
So my question mark then, when you're talking about that, it would, if I sent an email to my requester saying, right now we're researching this file, blah, 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 it's going to keep track of those emails in there, and then does it keep track of the responses as well? So if I email them and they email me back, does it keep track of that too?
Yeah, you're going to love this. So what it does is it puts a code on the email in the subject line. So subject line is, responds to your request, and it'll say 00004860, dash 28, whatever. And that when they reply to that email, Salesforce knows that is a reply into Salesforce. And so it goes into Salesforce and logs it inside the case. And then you can get a ping when there's a new email.
And so essentially it's integrating with Outlook. Is that true?
You can do that integration with Outlook, definitely. So what you can do is what we tend to see is that when you have a response to a case, you can do is you can load your email address and the reply to Salesforce email address on the
so it
on
is
the
actually
email.
receiving email. Salesforce actually receives email.
Yeah, there's a point where you don't even need to be in Outlook to work your case in Salesforce.
That was what I was trying to understand. So
totally, good question. Good question.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. Okay, so we like that.
That's our sort of type of case. I know that the other area, our OCOE team, uses this as well. They track this as a testing page that they made. I can't speak a ton to it, but I know that it does send emails based on what the status is, if it went out, when it closes, different things like that.
Actually,
and I actually don't think that email is working, Cherie, right now, because they were having problems this week, and so I don't think that they're doing that. But go ahead, Mark. Sorry.
No, it's just, could we go back to the other case real quick? The 4860. I just want to see the buttons at the top. Those are fine. Okay, no problem. We can go back. Because I saw the product button. You want to tell me about this new product button? I have a feeling.
So this is something that Jaime had set up because he has it so that you can turn a case if it turns into a full-blown project, so it'll link them. I'm aware that he's done that. In my team, we've never done that. I'm not sure if he has. So if something comes in to be worked, okay.
So basically this piece for this print test form, they have a link out on a SharePoint site where people can access it, and then it's an HTML form. The HTML form is actually opening up these cases in here for this particular UI, and then they're tracking stuff. I don't think he has all of the email set up. They were having problems, and I think again it goes back to that workflow, and then it messing with our emails type of a thing. So there's probably some back-end stuff that needs to be looked at.
Okay. Yeah. Totally agree.
He doesn't have full knowledge of how to build this. He was kind of copying what was built for our QM when he was working with either Salesforce or there was another company that does our PM system.
Cognizant.
Aperio, I think.
Aperio.
Passage Technology?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, they're a consulting company. Yeah, they also do.
Yeah. So we bought the PM piece from them, and so he was also working with them, but I don't think he got the full gist of how everything is supposed to be done in the back end in that amount of time.
Okay. You want to tell me a little bit about? I saw in the requirements something around projects, so I was wanted to get
right.
Feel.
And so we're aware that there is this project area. As I said, I believe Jaime's team is using it. Our team is not. So they have started a project area here. He deleted my test. Oh,
so I heard you guys mentioning at the start that you purchased project area. That's through that's the Passage Technology app.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's fun.
So I know it'll put in the Gantt chart. I don't know if this is fully filled in. I just clicked on a testing one.
That's cool. No worries. Okay, so what do you guys want to do with this?
So the requirements for it, so we don't have all of the forms in here that we would have. there's several other people on our team who are actually not in Salesforce at this time, but would like to utilize some kind of tracking in here. And then they have a similar thing. If we get very large mailing requests, it will turn into a project. So some things are going to come in as a request, basic request. And sometimes we're going to tell them, no, we can't do that. Sometimes though, we're going to say, okay, well, there's 3 scenarios. So sometimes they're going to go, okay, let's research and see if we can do it. And they're going to attach a bunch of information to that. And then they'll tell them yes or no. And if they tell them yes, then it needs to do like Jaime's form there where it says new projects. So it's attaching that intake request item to an actual project, because then they're going to track, they're going to get material pricing for these letters and envelopes. They're going to get postage pricing. They're going to get timelines. They're going to do tests through another system, OCOE. Does that kind of give you a better?
It does. That helps. So this is there. Okay. So can you roll down to the bottom of this 4492 case? Yeah, keep going. That's it?
That's as far as I go, yeah.
So where's the project? Huh.
So the project, if he had clicked new project, it would have opened here into a project.
But typically, you would want to relate the project to the...
This one might not be. I might have just not opened one that actually did.
Well, and
No, but you'd still have an open area with nothing in it called projects. Okay.
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 Again, this is again where I'm not sure it's actually functioning properly.
Yeah, it's interesting. So going to testing for Kendon, the project. Sorry, yeah, you got it. Okay. Do you guys? So the question is the Gantt chart and that sort of stuff highly useful, and that's what you want to be using going forward?
They do.
Okay.
They want that Gantt chart ability. So the project piece that we have, it meets the requirements for what we need to track for a project. So it has the Gantt, it has budget area, it has risks, tasks associated, and so or milestones and tasks associated, and then issues. And so it accommodates. I'm just not sure that it's linked. And then the other thing is they have an intake form out on SharePoint, the OCOE team. And most of their projects are being opened, not by SharePoint, they're manually opening them, but they're going back to that intake. So this particular testing for Kindon may not have turned into a project. They may not have made it that. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because they're kind of one-offs. I don't think those testings turn into projects.
Right. No, I don't think those testings turn into projects, but
when we have an intake item that does turn into a project, though, we do want it linked to that intake item.
Okay.
And sometimes, and just another point, sometimes we have team members who will just put projects in here that never start with intake because they're ongoing. Like every year we do annual enrollment. So that would be a project every single year, that would run through that project tracking tool.
Okay.
There's kind of 2 scenarios. But yeah, and in the back end, I don't know how it is set up.
So I'm just looking, I'm trying to figure out whether this is a managed app or an unmanaged app. I am package name. I'm looking. It's called Milestones PM. I assume is the one you guys are using.
That is exactly what it is.
Cool. Salesforce has a free one. I'm just saying that out loud. Just so
Don't worry. Sometimes I have to think out loud too.
So we can take a look at it later at the back end. I'm not too worried about it. So what do you want to do to the projects besides relating it to a case? Because that seems kind of obvious. Something
Right. I
want
don't.
to make.
Right now,
Okay.
because I haven't fully went through it, I don't know that we need to make any updates to the project area itself.
Okay.
For the brief piece that I've looked at it, it meets the requirements for tracking a project. It has all of your basic things in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so the only requirement that I'm aware of is the requirement to be able to turn, you know, an intake item into a project if need be.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be about.
And
Right.
I believe this does have some of those email things set up in the background as well, but I'd have to dig into that area to know for sure.
Click on it again. Click on one of them again. Doesn't matter which one. I'll look through I want to look through the related lists again. Stuff at the bottom.
So this doesn't necessarily show it, but you know, I know when we get back into the setup and stuff like that, you know, it shows the different types of emails that are maybe automatically triggered.
Yeah, let's take a look. Let's take a quick look. Go for setup. It doesn't look like you're in Lightning. Looks like you're in Fun Classic. Is there any interest in moving yourselves to Lightning while you're here?
We are not aware of what that is, I don't think. So
Look, it even says right here.
It's that absolutely gorgeous lightning bolt at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, right here it says, "Hey, you want to do this?"
What I might suggest is that we move you guys to Lightning. Lightning console is so much better. In lots and lots of ways. So you're gonna love it. And the Lightning console is great too. So let's do email templates under quick find search at the top. I assume this is what you wanted to go through.
Right, and so I know that there are several here. When we put on the case team members, right, we have the notifications go out. So because we have to create the case first before we can add a case team member, because it doesn't allow us to add it until after we've saved that new created case. Then we add the case team members to let them know, you know, there's a case and give them the same information.
One question, are the case team members the same every time?
So we do have some groups that are set up, or we use individual users. They're not always the same, no. Okay. And not everyone, not every case or project will get case team members.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. You know with that question, so that's good. Okay.
So we do notify the requester when a case is assigned to somebody new, right? Some of these are samples. Which ones are we actually using? I know we're using it when a case is completely created and when a case is closed.
I don't see anything project-based though.
No, so there wasn't. They didn't. I don't think those have been set up towards the project yet. And there's a whole bunch of things that I think aren't done correctly, and a whole bunch of things that still need to be done.
Okay.
I admin in SharePoint, and so I'm not aware of how Salesforce works in this backend. So we don't want to mess stuff up.
Right. That's very reasonable. Can you click on the folder up at the top where it says unfiled project email templates? Just click down. No, don't worry. You don't have
I don't think I have any personal ones.
I wouldn't worry about them if you did. Okay. So that's great. Can you just where is it? I see, now I have to put my classic hat on. Go to create. I think it's in create. Do you see on the left-hand side under app setup? It says under customize create. Yeah. Can you just click on the arrow there? Perfect. And then can you click objects? Okay. There's your project objects. Okay. Can you click on project? Let's click on the project object.
This one?
Yep, perfect. Now, if you change something, you're going to get in trouble, right?
Probably. I should log in as somebody else real quick, and then they won't know it's me. Oh.
Sorry about that, everybody.
No worries.
Apologies, all that noise. So keep going down. Just roll down a little bit. Yeah, we can make changes to this. Okay, so that's fine. We're not going to plan to, but it's good to know that we can make changes. We can also put these projects on the button on your page pretty quickly, and put the and link the project to the case pretty easily too.
Right. Yeah, it was explained to me that it does that.
And for our QM, we'll have to talk about that. I don't think we need that for our QM stuff. I don't know. We're one of those people that if we had a full-blown big project, it's probably coming from Paul, and then we're going to manually set up the project. But some of the other use cases that we have will definitely, need to have that ability. There are several. There's probably, I'm aware of one. No, I'm aware of about 6 other forms we'd like to have in here.
Talk to me about those. What are those forms? Give me one.
So the first use case that I sent over, the first use case is for our governance team. And they're calling it communication demand. And what communication demand is basically that you're our claims department and you want to send out, 50,000 claims letters. And you're going to come to us and ask us if we can produce those letters, or you're our membership and they are doing annual enrollment, and they're going to request us to send out another 500,000 ID cards to people, or random ones. So those come through. They'll come through and they'll ask. So as I was kind of saying, they have information that they will gather from that person. Then they also have information that they want to track in the background. You know what I mean? That doesn't need to actually go to the requester at that time. They're going to gather pricing and timing and our schedule and make notes as to why or why not, why we will or will not do the mailing. And then that would go back to the requester or turn into a project.
Okay. So that sounds like another case. It's just a different type of case you'd have. And
then it is a different one. That form has not been developed, and I have them working on what the interface will look like, what the site information is that they want to collect, all of that stuff. I'm trying to get everything built so that when we're ready to go, it will be very easy. Our other scenario is OCOE. So I built an intake form out on SharePoint. So our IT team, we have 2 versions of a system that handles our mail, basically. We have an old system, and then Centene bought us, and they went, oh, we like this, but we want to make upgrades. And so they built the number 2 version. And we're moving things from number 1 version to number 2 version. And so what happens is IT makes out this kind of schedule, and then they'll send requests over to our OCOE team to prepare for these things to go into 2.0. Our team has to help with that. And so what that intake does is they put stuff in there, and then it goes to our management, and they go, is there any problem with us moving this into the system at this time? Is there anything we need to be aware of? So they really don't ever say no, but those turn into projects. So the UI is out on SharePoint. Right now, it doesn't feed into Salesforce. We were going to do that, but again, I didn't want to mess things up. I wanted to understand how it works before we went messing with it.
I'm glad you did that. So a couple questions. So are you saying that you want to do away with the SharePoint form and have it in Salesforce? Or are you saying you need to keep the SharePoint form and you want to integrate it with Salesforce?
It was a fix, because the reason that we used the UI on SharePoint was because all of Centene can get to it.
Right.
And everybody that we've talked to about Salesforce, we were not aware of a good way to make a UI that we could make accessible to people who weren't paying for Salesforce. So you guys are wise, probably have something for that.
Yeah. I mean, there is a connector between SharePoint and Salesforce called Salesforce Files Connect. As you can hear in the words, files, which is not as easy. So you can create an HTML snippet for web to case that would go inside SharePoint. SharePoint is just a website, so that should work.
So I think that's what they do with the print test form. And my problem with that HTML form, just so you know, there's no way to know when they submit. So if somebody submits it and it doesn't actually feed into Salesforce, then we have a problem, because we don't even know then that they submitted that HTML. Do you have an answer for that?
Not off the top of my head.
Yeah, so what we found with the HTML that they're using now is sometimes, I guess, there have been updates in Salesforce, and so then the link or something breaks in that HTML form, and we've had people submit, and then they're basically calling us and getting mad because we haven't responded to them, and we are like, yeah, well, we didn't know.
So if there was instead of that form,
we're okay with SharePoint. I just wasn't sure if that was the best idea. Like, I didn't want to be in two systems, really. I mean, SharePoint does document management really well, and it will do the UI forms. I felt like it was a little clunky, but I mean, it could be possible. So I'm not opposed to anything. I just haven't heard the best thing yet.
Got it. That's good.
Right.
Okay, so I don't have an answer straight away, but we definitely need to find one.
Right.
I think that's. I mean, there's a couple ways we can do this, right? We can go completely off SharePoint and offer a web form that is distinct. We can put a web form inside SharePoint that should work just fine. We could also just offer an email address that's based on where it is in SharePoint. So instead of a form, there'd be an email address, and then tells people exactly what we want them to do with it. There's a few things we can do. I'd like to explore the web form as a replacement with inside SharePoint, and that would answer all the mail real quick. But you know, I know that there are potential complications.
Right. And we don't have to solution it by any means. We're just bringing up the things that are causing us grief.
You're quite right for bringing them up. That's awesome. And I'm realizing also that we're nearing the end of our call as well, which is very sad because I like to talk to you guys. So what's the timing on this project? How quickly do you need? Do you want this up and running?
They want something stood up by June. That's unrealistic because I don't even have all of the UI forms and the, solid requirements. My hard deadline for anything is to give them pricing by 4/20, by next Friday. So that's my really hard deadline, because I think they'll be happy, because right now they're unhappy because we don't have a decision or a plan. So if I have a decision and a plan that we're going to move forward, I think that is sufficient. So I know it's going to take time. I don't know how long it actually takes to build. So I'm kind of looking at your team to help us with that timeline.
Yeah. So what I would do, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to say, they'll feel totally better when I can show them, what, so yeah, we're starting to build in June, but here is how quickly this will move.
Is there anything that you guys haven't shown me that scares you to your core?
No, really, just that HTML form scares me to the core.
Oh, don't worry about that. Don't worry about the HTML form. That's not a problem. I think updating your forms, getting a good case, form, putting you into hopefully Lightning Console at the same time. I'm just saying that out loud.
Right.
Getting case comments working, maybe getting towards email to case, and providing web to case access within SharePoint, and I'll do some more digging on that. These are kind of quick and dirty stuff that we do, not dirty, quick and very clean, I should say, stuff that we do fairly regularly on bigger projects as well. So this will be a nice upgrade for you guys. I think it'll answer your your burning problems. And if you guys can be doing the forms at the same time, my suggestion is that we do a sort of, I don't know if you guys do agile development, but
Yes,
sprint
we do.
approach a sprint approach would work really well here, because I think within a couple weeks you will see major changes to your system and be able to say, God, it all works a little bit better now.
And I think that would be fantastic, because even if what we have in there is just cleaned up and functioning properly, by like a June, even at the end of June, that will make them happy. Because the other two pieces to this, our IT team uses Jira, so we would also want, and we don't need it to talk to Jira necessarily, but we would also, want to be able to link those in here. And then again, SharePoint, again, because we're doing document management on SharePoint, just because that's what it's better at it really than other things. Right. So, I mean, there's that. And then we don't have our whole team in here. So when we start to build out these other things, we're going to add another almost at least 20, 30 more people to licensing.
Yep.
So,
yeah, easily at least.
That's exciting.
Easily.
I'm thinking more of like 100. And
yeah,
my director is very dissatisfied, only because we have had this now for almost a year and we haven't done anything really with it.
Right.
QM piece was already in there, so it was being used, but they purchased it to do intake and these other things, and it hasn't happened. So that's where his upset is. So that's why I'm like, if we are getting things started in June and fixing stuff, I think he's going to be fine.
right.
Oh yeah.
And just another cleanup thing as well. We created several different, here you could see all these case record types, and most of which we're not utilizing at all. We'll probably want to sort of clean up this area so that when we build our new things out, there's not weird old stuff hanging around.
Yeah, it feels like you need a bit of a cleanup as well. I agree. I think you need to clean up on the forms. My feeling is that having the prioritization of your case, halfway down your form makes it very tough on the user. So I think, you can do sort of the UI changes as well that might get you, to a comfort level, and show, and again, back to, different UI with Lightning, different, having emails popping in and out and being able to use templates to show, to show off not just, your brand internally, but also externally, and be able to then track all of that, are major lifts that are pretty out of the box. So I'm excited. The Jira, that's just a link, right? You just need a link in there?
I think it should be a link. There may be a requirement. I don't know exactly how that would work, but they may want a requirement for it to talk to Jira, because part of their project updates need to go to that IT team, but it might not be that complicated. I need to figure out if that is the truth.
Yeah, we might want to just step into a crawl, walk, run approach with Jira. I've seen all of the sort of machinations of connecting with Jira, all the way from a link to full-blown integration where changes made in either side update the other. So, we just want to be careful of your firewalls and all the other fun stuff that gets in the way of using Jira. So let's
just know that the capability is there is sufficient. That's
the capability
at this moment. So
yeah, there's actually a Jira connector on the App Exchange. If you get a chance to run over to the App Exchange, it's a fun place to poke around for stuff like that. And there is a connector that exists for Jira already. It really depends on your level of security internally about how easy it is to implement. Okay. So if we just understanding paperwork and things like that, do you want just high level rough numbers from us first, or do you want an SOW that just sets everything out that we would do as a plan? Or
I think right now I'm looking for rough numbers.
Okay.
And a little bit of detail about like what we need to maybe do for cleanup. I mean, a little bit of detail around pricing, but it can be very rough because I have to get them to say, yeah, because the other part of that is my director, because he's already spent $77,000 plus,
Yikes.
doesn't really want to, he doesn't really want to spend a lot of money. I'm going to just say that. So I'm hoping that this is feasible. He doesn't want to dump another 100,000 in because he doesn't believe it's going to happen, kind of a thing right now. So
Gotcha.
yeah, so we're not coming from a good place with this. And I know it could be good, so I have to go and smile and convince him that the world is going to turn just like it's supposed to.
Right, of course you do, and it will. I believe in that too. Okay, I got you.
Yeah, and so high-level numbers, I think, are good as an estimate, and then because I don't want you guys to do the statement of work and then he absolutely has a fit, and it takes me 2 months to convince him that this has to be done, kind of a thing.
Right, totally understood. So if we got you that, if we put together a meeting next week, maybe mid to late next week, to go through those.
Yeah, that would be great. I am going to be out like Monday through Thursday, so is Friday good for you guys?
Yeah, but you know what? I was thinking Friday. That'll work.
Fantastic! Yay!
So
we seem to be on the same page.
It's weird that I love that.
I do.
Okay. So Friday, the 20th. Oh my gosh, it's April 20. Can anybody? What's the deal there? So April 20. What time is good for you guys? Let's nail this and go through it.
My calendar is empty right now.
Okay.
Right, mine too.
It's empty, so.
Where are you
glad
guys?
for
I
that.
should know where you physically are.
We're in California, so we're Pacific.
The greatest state
Sacramento.
in the United States. Just speaking from experience. Well,
so it only is until the government gets involved and they ruin things here.
Well, thank you. Agreed. So 12 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. Everybody wants to do a 4 p.m. on a Friday, so let's skip that. How's 12 or 2? 12, you might want to have lunch. I don't want.
Yeah, I want to eat lunch.
Right on.
And
so how about 2 o'clock?
Yeah, so 2 sounds good for me.
All right.
Debbie.
Yep, 2 is fantastic.
All right, I will send out an invite, and we can do that. Obviously, go ahead.
I was going to say, will you do me a favor?